Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about some awesome discoveries I've made recently. I have been getting rid of, I got rid of 25 fragrances very, very recently. And I've been leaning in to the things that I really, really love, the brands that I love, filling in some of the gaps and just sort of rediscovering some things. And in doing so, I think I discovered a top 10 all-time fragrance for me, and we'll talk about that. Some vintage gems, and just some awesome stuff that I want to share with you guys. So if you guys enjoy, be sure to hit the like button, hit the sub button, and let me know if you have any recent discoveries of your own. All right, so just jumping into talking about the fragrance that I think might be top 10 all time for me, and I like signature scent this. This is a fragrance that I actually sold twice before. Now, to be honest, I clearly didn't give this fragrance enough time because at the time, and this was over a year ago when I had it, twice actually, my taste was completely different, and I just simply didn't give this fragrance the time of day that it really deserved and needed. And this is Roja Danger Parfum pour Homme. This is Roja's take on Guerlain Heritage. But in my opinion, having owned vintage Guerlain Heritage, and I have an Eau de Parfum vintage on the way, this is better than Guerlain Heritage. I would signature scent this. This is so good that I've already gotten a vintage backup bottle. I did get really, really lucky. I found a bottle with a name on the side, which is great. I'm not sure if it necessarily matters, but dude, this stuff is... If you like vintage masculine fragrances, I don't really know if it gets much better than this. This takes that Guerlain Heritage DNA, you know, the amazing patchouli creaminess, the sort of slight sweetness of the tonka and vanilla in the base, the lavender in the woods, and he does what Roja does in the Parfum pour Homme line, and he roges it up. So in this version, first of all, it just smells higher quality and a little less harsh than the original Heritage, at least to my nose. But he throws in this cumin note, gives it a little bit of an intrigue without completely ruining the scent profile. It's just... like... guys, I don't buy backup bottles at all. I don't like advocating that sort of stuff. That behavior, I guess. I almost immediately bought a backup bottle of this. I think it's knocking on the door of the top 10. It probably is in the top 10. I would signature scent it. It's just utterly shockingly amazing. I love it. I put a spray on my arm. It lasted like 10 hours. Good detectability. Never really became a skin scent. You know, I waving my arm, I could smell it the whole time. Unbelievable. Okay, moving on to some other things. So this is a fragrance. This is actually an artisanal fragrance by the house of Sultan Pasha. This is Joyeux. Now, this is also kind of a vintage masculine. It definitely leans in that direction, but obviously a way different style. Oh my god. Hey, if you like lavender, this is it. This is the real deal, okay? This uses, I want to say, what's called a lavender enfleurage, and the quality on display here is just absolutely ridiculous. This is the best smelling lavender fragrance I've ever smelled, but it's different than what you might expect. It does have that vintage masculine sort of inflection. It's dry. It's almost hay-like, super textured and golden and warm, spicy. It's just on skin. It just radiates this kind of sunny golden aura, but you can tell it's lavender. It is weird in that regard. I didn't know this until recently, but apparently a lot of the even famous lavender fragrances nowadays, they use lavandin or like some different type of lavender, whereas I guess the vintage stuff really did use real, I guess, lavender extract. Maybe there's people that know more about the material side of things than me that can comment in the comment section about that. But Joyeux uses the real deal stuff in combination with, I believe, a couple other types of lavender, and it's insanely fantastic. And this is what I mean by I'm leaning into the things that I really, really love. I've been getting rid of a ton of fragrances recently. I've gotten rid of like 25 or something. and I'm really leaning into the things that I enjoy. So of course that led to me getting a backup bottle of Antaeus, but this is also a deep, deep vintage of Antaeus. This is an 80s bottle. I have an unboxing video for this on the channel, guys. It is out, so if you want to look at that, it'll be in the description, or you can just look at the channel. In my first impressions video, I mentioned how impressed I was that the modern version of Antaeus was in such good shape and pretty close to this. And this is a deep vintage 1980s bottle. But it's been a couple days, actually multiple days, almost a week since I filmed that, I think. And this bottle has opened up. So I think what happened is I sprayed this and it just got some air in the bottle, right? This was sealed for 40 years, right? Like, it's been a long, no one's ever smelled it for that long. So, it just needed to open up a little bit, maybe just get acclimated. This has just completely gained so much body, and now it is like Antaeus. It is even richer than in my first impressions video. The Castoreum is front and center. It's way darker than the modern Antaeus, and it certainly smells of its time. It's one of my favorite fragrances of all time. That is absolutely within my top 10 as well. Antaeus is incredible. Moving on. Okay, so if you guys watch the channel, you guys probably know that I love, love, love Serge Lutens. And I've explored the brand to exhaustion at this point, and there are only a couple things that I'm hunting, and I managed to actually find 2 of them this week. This is Fleurs d'Oranger, and I also managed to find this. This is 5 o'clock au gingembre. So these are 2 completely different fragrances. Fleurs d'Oranger is one you don't really hear heralded a lot from this brand. And it's interesting because, you know, I can kind of understand that because the name is kind of boring in comparison to other Serge fragrances. People look at this and they just expect, oh, it's like an orange blossom thing. Okay, cool, nice. It's like a white florally thing. Don't sleep on this. This is one of my favorite. Oh, this is one of my favorite floral fragrances in my entire collection. I've been waiting for a bottle for this to pop up for a while. This is an orange blossom scent, but it's Serge Lutens-ified, you know? There's a massive jasmine note in this that isn't afraid to be like a little bit indolic and really, really heady. And there's also a cumin note that gives it even more of an edge. So you have this, you know, beautiful sort of white floral melange and then this warm spiciness, but it's still incredibly fresh and airy and, in my opinion, wearable. Fleurs d'Oranger is just outstanding. Really, really love that. So glad to finally have that in the collection. And then 5 o'clock au gingembre. I love tea fragrances. I wore one today. I wore the Rolly Ocean Noir today by Guerlain. But I love the warmer, spicier tea fragrances. And I've been waiting for a bottle of this to pop up. This is sort of this candied ginger sort of feel. Very, very autumnal feeling and spicy and cozy. The tea note, it does feel more like a smoked tea, maybe like black tea or some sort of darker tea variety. Maybe more so than like a green tea or a fresher tea. Like I said, it's pretty autumnal feeling. It's incredibly cozy, and I love it. It also lasts for a long time. I was very, very surprised how one spray of this just kind of went on and on and on. And in the dry down, it gets a little, it gets sweeter, and then it sort of dries down to this, you know, sweet, musky thing with a little bit of that gingery edge left. But 2 Serge Lutens fragrances I've been wanting for a little bit, so I'm very happy to have those. And then actually an Amouage was added to the collection here. This is one that I've been hunting as well. Again, leaning into brands that I love. Serge Lutens and Amouage are my number 1 and number 2. So this is a bottle from the library collection. This is Opus 5. I'm not sure if you can see that. This is vintage Opus 5. The reason you want this bottle is the new stuff is pretty badly reformulated, unfortunately. I've had multiple people say that the reformulation difference between this version and the new version is like one of the starkest differences they've experienced in a fragrance, which is really, really jarring. And I was like, oh shit, like, I guess I'll just get an older bottle then. Whoa, this is crazy. This is an amazing fragrance. This was perfumed by, I think, Jacques Cavelier Beltrude, who's the Louis Vuitton perfumer. This just shows that he's not the freshy guy. If you let him off the hook, he's gonna make some crazy shit. So this is like boozy, animalic, powdery, just fresh iris. It's incredibly unique. I've never ever smelled anything like this. It has this distinct edge, that boozy alcoholic edge with whatever the animalic is. It just gives this a sharpness that cuts through that sort of maybe traditionally feminine leaning iris inflection. And I don't know what it is about it, but this is like the most masculine iris to me. This is a very macho iris in a way. Like, I could see this being worn in like a formal setting, suited up. I think it would just be spectacular. I really do. So that's vintage Opus 5. And that's pretty much it, guys. That is what I've been leaning into, getting rid of a ton of stuff. Maybe I'll make a video about what I got rid of if you guys are interested, and leaning into the stuff that I really, really enjoy. I feel like my collection is pretty much in its final stages, and at this point, it's just like minor irritating refinements, which is basically code for like, oh, maybe I should search for a vintage bottle of this. But then it gets annoying, and it's just like, whatever. Just enjoy what you like. If it's not as easy as finding a vintage bottle of Antaeus, which for some reason there's 100 million bottles just floating around, then I'm pretty put off by it, to be honest with you. I don't like searching a lot. Okay, appreciate you guys watching. Let me know what you think about all this stuff in the comments section. If you enjoyed, the like button, hit the sub button, and I hope to see you in another video's comment section. I'll see you later.